Welcome to the YouTube channel, Intip Dunia. What else are we going to discuss today? Okay, let's get straight to the point. Is the whale shark actually a shark, or is it a whale? Let's settle this once and for all. Hey there, welcome to Life Noggin. Today we're re-diving into the deep blue to take on an extraordinary creature that goes by the name of the whale shark. It is huge, like whale-sized, so could it be a whale instead of a shark? Well, let's look at the evidence and find out. To make sure we get this right, we consulted with our own resident marine biologist and shark expert. Now let's dive into it. And to figure out what that means, we have to climb up one more level to the family. And the family above the genus is called the Rhincodontidae. This time, we can see a little more information. See? We keep finding more sharks. The only catch is that to be a shark, you have to be, well, a shark. And the more we learn about the whale shark, the more it behaves, looks, and is classified like a shark. This means they breathe air, give birth, to live young, and even produce milk. Whale sharks can grow up to 18 meters long and weigh 20 tons. First off, as we mentioned earlier, the whale shark is part of the class which means it's a shark, at least according to science. Unlike most sharks that swim fast and powerfully through the water, the whale shark tends to swim slowly. It also likes to travel long distances, which is unusual for sharks. But that's not all. Whale sharks are also very different from whales in terms of their feeding habits. If you subscribe, then you'll get to watch all sorts of incredible videos that bring science to life. So click that button and join us every week for new content. The whale shark is a shark, just a really big one. Or maybe you have a different idea entirely. Let us know in the comments below. And if you want to learn more about whale sharks, check out the links in the description. It's called a whale shark because of its enormous size, not because it's related to whales. After all, size doesn't define an organism's identity. How it's classified, what it eats, and how it behaves do. And the more we learn about the whale shark, the more it behaves, looks, and is classified like a shark. So until science changes the rules, we say the whale shark is a shark, the largest shark in the world, and the largest fish in the world. Whales tend to eat other animals, whether it be krill, fish, or even other whales. But the whale shark is a filter feeder, meaning it eats plankton, krill, and small fish. And filter feeding isn't something most sharks do. In fact, you can tell a whale shark is about to eat by watching it open its mouth really wide. Then it takes in a huge amount of water and filters out food with its tiny teeth. Compare that to the great white shark, which hunts down its food and uses its sharp teeth to slice it into pieces. Clearly, the whale shark is much more chill than its toothy cousin. To put that in perspective, the average male blue whale is around 26 meters long. So not quite as big as a blue whale, but still pretty darn large. Whale sharks lay eggs internally, so they can't be mammals. Plus, they don't have lungs. Instead, they have gills like fish. And we know they're not fish, at least not in the traditional sense. Fish are divided into two major categories: cartilaginous fish and bony fish. Cartilaginous fish are members of the class Chondrichthyes, which, remember, includes sharks, rays, and skates. One feature that sets them apart from cartilaginous fish is their skeleton, which, you guessed it, is made of bone. Their skeletons are made of cartilage, so we can rule out being bony fish. 2. Bony fish are part of the class and whale sharks. So at this point you're probably thinking, okay, we get it. The whale shark is a shark, but why are we still fighting about it? Well, there's a lot to unpack here. Remember how the family name ends in ide? Well, that's a hint that anything in that family will end in odontiforms, or shark. So they gave it the common name of whale shark. But this naming practice isn't unique to the whale shark. For example, the giant squid was named the and people once thought the Loch Ness monster was a plesiosaur. Just because we call something by a certain name doesn't mean that's the correct name. And guess what? Rhincodontidae is in the class that's right, shark. The class Chondrichthyes includes all sharks, rays, and skates. Meanwhile, whales are in a completely different class. Blue whales, fin whales, humpback whales, right whales, and gray whales are all in the class Mammalia. First up, let's talk about the evidence for why the whale shark is a shark. You know what else is made of cartilage? Your nose. So the next time you're having a bad hair day, just remember, you have more in common with a shark than you might think. And one of the best places to start is with the word shark itself. Let's start with the scientific name, Rhincodontidae. Because of the way we name species in biology, the first part of the scientific name tells us what genus the organism belongs to, and the second part tells us what species it is. But before we go any further, you might be asking, what's a genus? Well, imagine if someone calls you by your middle name. You might feel a little confused unless you happen to have a famous middle name, like George Washington. You'd probably think they were talking about US President. That's because names don't always mean what we think they do. In fact, sometimes people give names to groups of living things that aren't even real. Take, for example, jellyfish. There is no single animal called a jellyfish. Instead, Jellyfish is a common name given to thousands of different types of soft-bodied invertebrates that have stinging cells and exist all over the world. These stinging creatures might look nothing alike, and yet we call them all jellyfish. So when it comes to learning about nature, remember, sometimes you can't judge a book by its cover, and sometimes you can't call an animal by its common name. If something is called a shark, it's probably a shark. In fact, this is exactly how scientists classify living things into categories based on their shared characteristics. The different categories are called taxa, and the more taxa an organism shares with another, the more closely related they are. For example, dogs and wolves share many of the same taxa. They are both animals, then vertebrates, then mammals, then canines, and finally, in the genus Canis. And finally, in the species dog. Modern taxonomic methods got a little wild there. And while this system doesn't always work perfectly, we can use it to help understand the relationships between living things. So where does the whale shark fit in? Well, back to the whale shark. It's in the genus Rhynchodon. But wait, there's more. Members of the class Chondrichthyes are also united by one important thing. Their skeletons are made of cartilage instead of bone. First off, we know whales are mammals. Moving down again, whale sharks are in the order called the lamniforms, which also includes mycos, salmon sharks, porbeagles, and of course, great white sharks. As we said, the name whale shark comes from sailors who encountered these massive fish and thought they looked like whales. Now let us take a closer look at the evidence for why the whale shark is actually a whale. Another reason people may have thought the whale shark was a whale is because of its sheer size. Now, let's consider the evidence for why the whale shark should be considered a shark. Not only does the whale shark eat differently from other sharks, it also swims differently. With all of this in mind, there's really only one conclusion we can come to. So do you agree with our verdict? Is the whale shark a shark or a whale? Speaking of links, we have something else you might like. As always, this has been your host. Don't forget to keep on thinking.